Hello and welcome to 31 Days of Encouragement. I'm Miles Stutts, minister of the Atlas Church of Christ. Today I want to talk to you about a special word, and that word is peace. In Mark chapter 4, Jesus and some of his closest friends were in a boat on the Sea of Galilee. As they were making their way across the water, a sudden violent storm erupted. Jesus was asleep in the back of the boat. Those boats in those days were usually about 26 to 28 feet long. They were about 7 feet wide and about 4.5 feet deep. The water that they were crossing in some places was as much as 140 feet deep. In the middle of a violent storm, when you have a boat that size and waves that could cap it at sometimes as high as 7 feet, things can get pretty frightening. Jesus was asleep. His friends were afraid. They woke him up and said, "Do you not know that we're about to die?" Some versions say, "Carest thou not that we perish?" Jesus woke up. He said to the wind and the rain, and he said to the storm 3 words, "Peace, be still." And that's what happened. I want you to remember that story in Mark chapter 4, particularly verse 39, where he said those words, "Peace, be still." And I want you to go with me to John chapter 14. In John chapter 14, Jesus has just delivered the news that he's going to die. At the beginning of John chapter 14, he said, "Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me." You can read that for yourself. But in verse 27, Jesus utters some words that I want you to hear today in connection with what we just said a moment ago. In John 14, verse 27, Jesus said, "I'm leaving you with a gift." And that gift was peace. It's peace that's different than what the world can offer. And then he said, "Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid." And you might say, that sounds just like what he said in Mark chapter 4. And from the English, it does. In Mark chapter 4, verse 39, Jesus said, "Peace, be still," and the storm stopped. In John chapter 14, Jesus says, "I'm leaving you with a gift," and that gift is peace. What's the difference? If you ask anybody that you know today, if they'd like to change something about what's going on around them or what's going on in the outside world, I imagine every one of us would have an idea about what we'd like to make better, wouldn't we? I'd say most of us, if we could correct different things about even our own personal lives, things that are on the outside of us, every one of us would have a list of some sort. What Jesus was talking about in Mark chapter 4 was exactly that, making things peaceful on the outside of us. But the difference between Mark chapter 4 verse 39 and John chapter 14 verse 27 is simply this. The peace that Jesus was talking about in John 14 was not these things that are going on outside of us. In John 14, the peace he was talking about is the things that go on inside of us. And that makes a big difference. The things that are outside of us can surely cause us a lot of difficulty and sometimes can really make us afraid, just like Jesus' apostles. But when things are well on the inside, when we have that peace that Paul talks about in Philippians chapter 4, verse 7, the peace that passes all understanding, when we have that peace inside of us, then that makes all these things that are outside of us a whole lot easier to deal with. As I said, pretty often I hear somebody say, "I sure wish I could have some peace." Well, Jesus offers that peace. It's the peace that passes all understanding. No, he doesn't promise that he's going to make everything outside of us okay, but he does promise he can make the things that are on the inside of us okay. Remember that the next time you need a little peace. Thank you for watching.